Welcome back to the Hoops 365 podcast. I'm Bryce Simpson, and I'll be your host. Today we'll be talking about each team in the Eastern Conference and the free agent signings they have made so far. Let's get started with the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics signed Oshae Brissett to a 2-year, $5 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when this deal expires, and he'll also have a player option for year 2. They signed Delano Benton for 2 years, $4 million. He'll also be an unrestricted free agent when this deal expires. This adds to depth at the end of the bench for the Boston Celtics, as they already have a solid roster to play. Now they just have to fill that roster with depth, and that's what Brissett and Benton does. The Brooklyn Nets re-signed Cam Johnson for 4 years, $108 million. He'll be a restricted free agent when this deal expires. This was a big move by the Brooklyn Nets, and it was a deal they had to make during free agent to move their team in the right direction. They also signed Dennis Smith Jr. to a 1-year deal for $2.5 million. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. They also added Lonnie Walker to a 1-year, $2 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. They got a great deal for Lonnie Walker, in my opinion. He's worth quite a bit more money than $2 million. But they're building a nice young roster that could compete in the NBA playoffs. The Charlotte Hornets signed Miles Bridges to a 1-year, $8 million deal. He'll be a restricted free agent when this deal expires. $8 million for Bridges after he has not played for an entire season is quite a bit of money, but they must feel confident about his playing moving forward. The Chicago Bulls signed Kobe White to a 3-year, $33 million deal. He'll be a restricted free agent when that deal expires. I thought this was a fair deal for both sides. They also signed Javon Carter to a 3-year, $20 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. I felt like $20 million for Javon Carter was quite an overpay for a backup point guard his skill level. They signed Torrey Craig to a 2-year, $5 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. He'll add nice depth to the roster. The Cleveland Cavaliers signed Max Strus for 4 years, $63 million. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. I thought that was fair value for both sides. They also added Caris LeVert for 2 years, $32 million. He'll also be an unrestricted free agent. And I thought that was a fair deal for both sides as well. They signed Georges Niang to a 3-year, $26 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. I thought $26 million for Niang was quite a bit of money, but the Cavs must feel confident about his playing ability moving forward. They signed Ty Jerome to 2 years, $5 million. He'll be an unrestricted free agent, and he'll add a nice point guard depth and maybe shooting guard depth to the roster moving forward. They retained Isaiah Mobley on a 2-way deal. The Detroit Pistons retained Jared Rodden to a 2-way deal. The Indiana Pacers signed Bruce Brown to a 2-year, $45 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when this deal expires, and The Pacers will also have a team option for year 2. This was a little bit of an overpay for Brown, but the Pacers got the player they wanted day 1 of free agency. The Miami Heat retained Kevin Durant on a 2-year, $8 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when this deal expires, and he'll also have a player option for year 2. I think the Miami Heat added the player option year 2 due to Kevin Love willing to come back for those extra years instead of signing elsewhere on another deal. They also signed Josh Richardson for 2 years, $8 million. $6 million. He will be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. He'll also have a player option for year 2. I felt like they added that player option for Richardson due to the low pay. So if Richardson plays well, he'll likely decline that player option moving forward. They signed Thomas Bryant to a 2-year, $8 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. I like Thomas Bryant, but I also felt like this was a little bit of an overpay for him considering their depth at the center position. They signed Orlando Robinson for 1 year, $2 million. He'll be a restricted free agent when this deal expires. This deal will add nice depth to the center position for the Miami Heat. And they also got Drew Smith on a 2-way deal. The Milwaukee Bucks signed Chris Middleton for 3 years, $102 million. He'll be a unrestricted free agent when this deal expires. He'll also have a player option for year 3. I thought this was higher than what Middleton would have got, but now it makes sense why he declined that player option. As I expected, he got less money in a long-term deal, although he did get a little bit more money than I expected. Brook Lopez re-signed for 2 years, $48 million. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. This was a good re-sign for the Milwaukee Bucks, as it was unknown what Brook Lopez would do this offseason. The Bucks also got Malik Beasley on a 1-year, $3 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. This was quite an underpay for Malik Beasley, as I feel he's worth more than that. But Beasley could have signed this deal to be on a championship caliber roster, and maybe he wants to get a ring before he goes and gets payday. Robin Lopez signed for 1 year, $2 million. This will be a nice player to have at the end of the bench for the Milwaukee Bucks. They'll use Robin Lopez at the center position if they run into injuries. The New York Knicks signed Dante DiVincenzo to a 4-year, $50 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. This was well expected across the league that DiVincenzo would sign with the New York Knicks, as he wanted to play with his Villanova teammate Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. The Orlando Magic signed Joe Ingles and Mo Wagner. Joe Ingles signed a 2-year, $22 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. This was a surprising signing for the Orlando Magic. They signed Joe Ingles to $22 million, and I think that's too much for a player like Joe Ingles, and I thought it was odd they went after Joe Ingles when they had plenty of other younger options. They've re-signed Mo Wagner to 2 years, $16 million. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires, and I think that's a fair deal for both sides. The Philadelphia 76ers signed Patrick Beverley to a 1-year, $3 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. This was a good deal for the Philadelphia 76ers, and Patrick Beverley will add nice point guard depth and good energy to the 76ers. The Toronto Raptors re-signed Jakob Poeltl to 4 years, $80 million, and he'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. He'll also have a player option for year 4. I felt like this was too much for Poeltl, but players like him at the center position were going for about $20 million a year, so it makes sense why the Raptors gave him that kind of money. They also signed Dennis Schroeder to a 2-year, $25 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. They also got a young player, Jalen McDaniels, to a 2-year, $9 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires. He'll add nice young depth to the Toronto Raptors. It'll be interesting to see the moves the Raptors make moving forward. The Washington Wizards re-signed Kyle Kuzma to a 4-year, $102 million deal. He'll be an unrestricted free agent when that deal expires, and I thought that was a very odd signing for the Wizards and Kuzma after all the moves they made. But Kuzma must feel confident in the Wizards organization moving forward. That's it for today's podcast. As always, have a great day and follow all Hoops 365 social media. Thank you.